Hello and welcome to Lake Mills and our Week 5 prep rally on madison.com. I'm Rob Hernandez. He's Dennis Semrau. And Dennis, we're here in front of the world-famous American Legion Post 67 hamburger stand right behind us. Out of deference to this week's Game of the Week, Lake Mills, Lakeside Lutheran, the battle for the stretch here that we're in front of Highway 89, a crosstown rivalry, and this year, for all the bragging rights in the entire Northern Capital Conference. How about that?
Both 4-0, both won their openers in the Capital last week. And again, it's not only, it's public and private, it's a couple blocks away, and it's everything you could want in a rivalry, and a very classy rivalry. Both coaches are also the athletic directors, so we expect a great crowd.
Great crowd and a great ball game. Both these teams, as Dennis said, off to great starts. Both know how to find the end zone. Dennis, let's start first with Lakeside Lutheran. Last week they put up 59 points against Columbus, a team that has had a good run of success here of late. Tell us a little bit about the Warriors and what we can expect in terms of their offensive weaponry.
Well, Brennan Lease last week, 2 touchdowns rushing, also an interception return for a touchdown, and that's kind of the key. Lakeside Lutheran's averaging 40 points a game, but giving up only about 6. They've given up 4 touchdowns in 4 games. That'll be the key, I think. The Lake Mills, the Elcats, Becca Keller, the kicker, had a game-winning field goal, 27-yarder in week 3. She's made, I believe, 19 extra points. And Tyler Moen, Turner Moen, rather, the quarterback, ran for 2 and passed for 2 last week. So, but again, you throw records out, you throw stats out. Anytime there's a rivalry game, must-see football.
Lake Mills did qualify for the playoffs 2 years in a row, 2009, 2010, but it had been a while before that. Lakeside Lutheran got to level 3 last year. How do you see that big game atmosphere affecting these two teams? Obviously, I think Lakeside's probably been in a few more contests in this situation.
Yeah, and again, it comes down to defense, and right now Lakeside's defense looks like the better one. If you look at the teams that they played so far, and Marshall and Cambridge, and what they try to match up scores. But again, it's going to be whoever strikes first, I think, on offense. And it could be a shootout, though. Both teams averaging over 37 points a game.
Well, that'll be our madison.com game of the week on Friday night, 7 o'clock at Lakeside Lutheran. The Elcats of Lake Mills High School against the Warriors of Lakeside Lutheran. Dennis, let's stay in the Capital Conference, go to the Southern Division, week 2 of conference play there, and we already have a showdown game. It's Marshall-Cambridge at Cambridge. Both teams win in week 1. Cambridge got off to a rough start in non-conference play, but you know, right now it's all about getting those conference wins and getting to the playoffs, isn't it?
Yeah, Marshall with a shutout last week, but Cambridge put up 54 points. Get on Wisconsin Heights, who's been struggling in recent years, but the North dominated the South. If you look at when we talked about Lake Mills and Lakeside Lutheran, combined 8-0, 5-0 against the South. Now the South's playing each other. And again, you need 3 wins in the final 5 weeks to get to the playoffs with only a 5-game conference schedule.
We could have very easily have done Middleton in our game of the week 3 weeks in a row. Obviously, next week it's the big showdown between the Middleton Cardinals and the Sun Prairie Cardinals. This week, Dennis, Middleton takes the road trip over to Verona for another big game in the Big 8 Conference. Coming off their win over Madison West, the Cardinals play at Verona, and a game that right now they need to win to set up a kind of a winner-take-all next week against Sun Prairie.
We said after Verona lost that first game, they were going to get better every week, and they have. You know, they knock off Memorial. They're a 3-game winning streak right now. The Cardinals of Middleton had a good test with West, and were able to pull away at the end. So, but again, this is another one that's becoming a very good rivalry. Both communities compete in a lot of different sports, and especially in the football field. Last year, Verona, it's the first year they'd knocked off Middleton in the conference, so the Cardinals want a little revenge. How do you look at the guarding against the looking ahead factor? I guess, is this game big enough? I mean, how would you compare the Verona rivalry for Middleton, since you're in the district, against the Middleton rivalry with Sun Prairie? Is one bigger than the other? Is this a bigger game, at least in the kids' minds, perhaps, than maybe even next week? Well, this is our bragging rights game.
This is our bragging rights game.
You're in the Verona district.
That's right.
I think this is, when you talk about one game and not looking past, perfect game for Middleton to have. If this was anybody else, I think they might be looking ahead to the other Cardinals. But they want bragging rights. They want to knock off the team that knocked them off, a chance to get the conference title last year. And then worry about Sun Prairie afterwards. Right. And everybody's been kind of pointing towards Sun Prairie. You don't have to worry about getting up for them. But I think Verona, again, Dave Richardson and Tim Simon, 2 very good coaches. And I'd like to be flying while the strategy sessions this week, trying to figure out maybe a secret play or something to be able to get the edge, because it's going to be a close one.
There's going to be a new wrinkle somewhere, I'm sure. Dennis, out in the region this week, the big game, Cuba City at Iowa Grant in the Swall. Both teams come into that game unbeaten in conference play, and that, for all intents and purposes, could decide things. However, if Iowa Grant wins, it becomes a lot more interesting for Cuba City. The Cubans are home next week to Darlington. Darlington just one game back, and they could be right there when this thing is all said and done. We'll have live blog updates from that Cuba City Iowa Grant game, as well as all the games across southern Wisconsin that will be at Friday night here on wisconsinprepzone.com. And, of course, don't forget our game of the week, Lake Mills against Lakeside Lutheran at Lakeside Lutheran High School. Of course, Dennis, the American Legion Hamburger Post only open on Friday, so I'm guessing a lot of those fans will get their appetites filled here for dinner and then head on down to the stadium for a big ball game.
Pre-game burgers, you bet.
Pre-game burgers, he might be there. And, of course, you can read Dennis's game story and see the wisconsinprepzone.com Game of the Week highlights and post-game reaction right here Friday night into Saturday morning. For Dennis Semrau, I'm Rob Hernandez. Thanks for watching Prep Rally. We'll see you at the stadium.